welcome to Q, Meet the Authors 2022. That sound you hear is love and affection for the people you're about ready to meet. These are authors of amazing books that will change the course of education. Am I wrong? Okay, yes, okay, evidently one vote for wrong, yes. But I am so excited for you to be here and to Meet the Authors. My name is Glenn Warren. I am so honored to be the little host of this show in this moment for you. And I would like to not waste any more time and introduce you to an amazing author. This is Kyle Anderson. Are you ready to come up here? Come on up here, Kyle. Kyle, so thank you so much for being here. And let's just have a seat. Here, a little closer to me if you don't mind. Kyle, what's the name of your book?
I wrote a book called To the Edge, Successes and Failures Through Risk-Taking, and it is essentially a memoir, but rather than just being a straight-up autobiography, because, I mean, who am I? Nobody's going to read that book.
Well, I don't know about that.
You never know. Yeah. But no, it looks at my life and career, the risks I've taken, the good and the bad that came out of that, and how it shaped me into what I am now today.
There's so much of what you just said I love. First of all, it sounds to me, and I agree with the statement I'm going to make, is that your life matters.
Absolutely.
Yeah, your life matters, and our kids' lives matter. And what's so beautiful, I think, is that you looked at your own life, and you took it and made a summary of basically where you've been for the benefit of whom?
Myself.
Oh, you did it for yourself.
I did it for myself,
wow,
too.
Look at that.
But
Talk about self-care. Wow, I think that's like social emotional genius.
I wrote the book for myself because I love to write and get it out there. But at the same time, though, even if only one person read the book and got something from it, that's all I care about. And I will be honest that this book came out on March 7th, 2020.
Wow. Wow.
Less than 1 week from when the world went to We All Know.
That's right.
And as a result of that, book sales have not been good. Advertising for it hasn't been easy to do. But again, the people that have read it and talked to me about what they got from it, that's all that matters. It wasn't about becoming a New York Times bestseller.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It was about making a difference, and even if it's just one person's life, and it did that.
You know, with the way you're talking, first of all, it speaks to me deeply, what you're saying. And so many people are so focused on success. And I think what you're doing is you're focused on significance, this idea that it's not about being successful or not, it's about I'm doing this for me, I'm doing this, and if I can help even one other person. Let's go back to the title. Say the title again.
To the Edge, Successes and Failures Through Risk-Taking.
Why did you call the book that? Because it seems like a lot of risk in there.
So if you look at the cover of the book has somebody on skis standing at the edge of the mountain looking down. No, that is not me on there. I wish that was me. So, but when you're like that right there is just clearly like what the quintessential risk may look like to some people.
For sure.
Is if you're a skier, that first time you ever did a black diamond or a double black diamond, that was a risk. You didn't know if you were going to survive it, let alone be able to make it to the bottom of the mountain.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but once you do that, you try something. If you fell down, you either got up and you tried it again, or you realize maybe I shouldn't be doing double black diamond runs.
Yeah,
so,
I found that at the hard way myself. Yeah.
Right. So, but looking at different things in my life, I wanted to put that perspective on the same thing. Whether it was in the beginning of the book talking about as a senior in high school, debating, do I stay home and go to the community college? Do I go away and play football because I had been offers to play football? Do I do what the rest of the men in my family did and go to the military? So there was all these decisions, and it sounds like something like, oh, well, you're just a young man at that point just making a decision. It's not really risky. But it is.
It feels risky.
So it does, because the one thing about the military was you join the military and hate it. You don't get out until they tell you you're done.
I've heard about that, yes.
Yeah, so, and that was something that I weighed in that decision was, do I do this? I don't know. So,
wow.
And I ultimately, spoiler alert if you read the book, I ended up going to college to play football. So, but then there's a lot of stuff that goes with that as well.
Okay, so what you just said there is a little part of the book. You gave us a little taste of what's in there. Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So. Is there something after you wrote the book? Is there one thing you can think about? You finished writing the book, and you had this like cathartic moment for your career. What was one of the first things that hit you as soon as you finished it, and you said, you know, that touched you after the fact that maybe it was unexpected?
So there's a part of the book that I wrote, and most of my family didn't even know about my struggles with mental health. So I had some issues with some mental health a few years ago. I'm in a much better place now. But writing that was the hardest chapter to write, and the reasoning behind my mental health issues I was having. There's some things in there that are very specific. But then talking to people after they read that and then realizing that maybe they were having some of those same issues but didn't want to talk about it, but now they're able to open up now.
Wow.
So it's not just about, I tried this in the classroom and it was terrible, so I tried something new. It's about all sorts of aspects of what makes you not only an educator, but a person as well.
Kyle, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this. Isn't that wonderful? Kyle, what a great time. Let's give it up for Kyle. Let's give him some love there. Wait a minute, we just dropped the mic. That's okay. Literally, Kyle, mic drop.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. That's a mic drop. Kyle did a mic drop. All right, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, and next we have another accomplished author. This is John Karipa. Hey, good to see you again, John. John.
Hello, Glenn Warren.
Well, John, you've been a bit busy, haven't you?
Yeah, we got some things.
John, what would you like? How many books have you written so far?
Well, counting the new one that just went #1 in 2 categories, Kim Vogie. There's four done complete books. Four, and then there's 2 on the way. So 1 on the way is.
You have 1 on the way.
Yes.
Okay, it's
beautiful.
nice. John's got 1 on the way. Isn't that beautiful? He's got 1 in the oven.
We're going to have a shower later.
It will be a reveal.
So we have a history and social studies edition coming at the AP level.
Wow.
And then a language arts edition at the AP level as well.
John, let's rewind a little bit. When you first started the first book, The Edgy Protocols, what was the reason that you wrote that?
You're going to really like this.
I'll say.
And it's actually, I love what Kyle had to say about, telling your story and all those things.
Yeah.
So Marlena and I, my co-author, Marlena Hebern, I said to her one day, I said, you realize if we get hit by a truck, everything we know.
Oh, so all the things you had gained would be gone.
Yeah, all the institutional knowledge.
Okay.
Between the 2 of us, we had around 40 years of experience at that time. And any teachers have been teaching 20 years, you got some tricks. And I thought, let's codify this. Let's make a thing that a new teacher or a teacher who's tired of slinging worksheets says, if I did this, life could be better. So that was the impetus for the whole thing.
Wow, and I need to touch on that slinging worksheet thing
No
for
touching,
a second.
please, no touching.
I think that thing is slinging worksheets. This is getting us away from a worksheet mentality, right?
Well, and it really goes to anybody that's been teaching since before NCLB. NCLB kind of stripped the craft out of teaching.
Did you say stripped the craft out?
Craft,
you said?
with an F, yes.
Just making sure. I just want to make sure I heard that right.
Teaching became more of a formula where you needed to get on a certain page or to a certain... And it turns out the most important thing in education is the human children. Yes, it's crazy talk.
Say that again.
Yes, the human children are the most important part. And I will sit here as a former human child myself. I'm a 2.9 GPA, but yet I've been an assistant soup, I've been a CEO, I've done all these things because it turns out I wasn't interested in the way they wanted me to learn.
Oh my gosh, John,
so coloring the blue ducks was not that enthralling for me.
That's beautiful.
And well, I'm going to go with that. Last one, this is for you, Melody. My GPA went from a 2.9 to a 4.0 when I switched to advertising as my major because we were doing projects. We were making commercials. We were making jingles. We were building fake magazine ads. And I was like, this is really cool to make things. So we've tried with the protocols to channel that feeling and make it approachable and easy to do and easy to replicate, and we're getting tremendous results. If you look up the hashtag on Twitter, people are getting 20 and 30 points of growth per class period.
Well, it sounds to me like I'm glad for the results. I'm thrilled about the results. But it sounds like me the secret sauce behind this is you're tapping in to the heart of the student. That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, it's a weird paradox because as the scores go up, the kids see me as a better teacher and I have more time to enjoy them. It's crazy.
Wow, it's awesome.
I know, it seems nuts.
Okay, so you started with the book Edgy Protocols and you didn't know quite where it would go. You did this as you didn't want the knowledge and the wisdom to be lost. Great. Did you expect it to take off the way it has?
We were hoping to sell maybe 1,000 ever. Like when I was 84, I'd be like, remember that book we wrote back in the 90s? And as of right now, we're just past 25,000. So it's been ridiculous.
Wow.
It's ridiculous.
Well, wait a minute. I just want to check. Am I out of time with John?
Joe Marquez.
Is that what it says? 0. John.
Joe Marquez
it felt like
says
it went like this.
Who's next up?
Let's give it up for John, huh?
Thank you.
Thanks, John. That was fantastic.
I'm going to try to not drop the mic.
I'll take it for you. Thank you so much. That's so. 3 minutes. It's not enough time. All right. So our next person is Adam Juarez is not here, but we wanted to give a shout out to him and his book, which is the complete digital coach. And EdTech, that's right. And we wish the best to him but we wish you could be here, but he's not. So, love to Adam, Juarez. Let's slay a little love out to Adam. And now we're going to move, John. We loved having you up here. And next we have Lisa Nowakowski. Did I get that right? I hope I got that right. Lisa, welcome. So glad you could join us. All right, let's make sure I got your name right. Nowakowski, is that right?
Nowakowski. It's like a cow.
Nowakowski. That's beautiful. Very, very, very good. And it sounds to me like this is an extension of what we were talking about with John. Did the original Edgy Protocol kind of help prompt the next book? Is that the idea?
It absolutely did.
Tell me about that.
It's a great story. So the entire premise started with math reps. And it was based on one of John's original, actually the original Edgy Protocol, 8 Parts of Speech, right?
Yeah,
it was a good one.
That's what we're talking about.
I saw him do it and I thought, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. I need to do something like that for math. And then I quickly realized that math has a lot of different standards.
I've heard of that.
Yes. So I kind of caught myself in a little, situation there. And so I just started creating them for my 5th grade classroom at the time. I thought, what do my students need that they forget at the end of the year that we need consistent repetitions on?
Yeah.
So I created one and it just took off, and now we have math reps for grades K through 12. We have different Edgy Protocols that are math-based for it, and we have a book, and it just blossomed into something beautiful.
Wow. Okay, so let's back it up. So you started this for your own students.
Yes.
So it started at home.
Yeah.
It started like, hey, I'm not looking to write a book. I just want to make a difference for my students.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, and you started implementing some of these homegrown Edgy Protocols, so to speak, or adapted or modified?
I kind of took what John had done of like doing one thing. So I took one number and looked at what standards my students needed. They need to know 10 times greater, 10 times less, 5th grade, subtracting, adding, with decimals, multiplying, all of those great things, and just put it on one paper. And all the teacher needed to do was have one number, so you just changed one number a day.
Okay, so I want to stay on that point for a moment. So here you are, you're implementing this into your class. Give me a snapshot of a moment, and I'm sure there have been many, but of a moment, but give me a snapshot that comes to mind of one of your students in your class that was engaging with this, and you thought to yourself, I don't know, hallelujah, or something. What give me that moment.
I have it. It was one of my first years doing it. We were doing multiplication and division. In 5th grade, they don't need to know how to do the algorithm with division. And so the students started doing the algorithm. And I said, well, how did you get that? Where did you get this from? Like, did somebody at home teach you? He says, no. We've been doing this, and I just figured out that if I do this, this, and this, I can do this, and it gives me the answer. And he naturally figured out how to do the algorithm through the math rep.
Wow. It still touches. It
still
gets to you. It still gets to you.
Such a moment.
I can feel the love in this. I really can, and that's beautiful. And so here's a student who not only was successful, but prior to that felt, would you say, had a real sense of ownership of their own learning?
Absolutely. He just went with it and ran, and he self-reflected and had that ownership, and he did what every math teacher wants them to do, is figure it out on their own and go with it.
Wow, and it sounds to me like it helped create this idea that shame just went right out the door.
And there's a million different stories with all of the different Edgy Protocols that are in the book. There's several different Edgy Protocols in it, and just as many stories.
Okay.
So many.
Well, this is not enough time. I just got to say thank you, Lisa. Let's give it up for Lisa. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
I'll take that from you, and thank you so much. That was fantastic. All right, and our next author coming up. Let's see if I know we got the next author coming up. Do we have the slide? I think we should. Is she there? Is Tisha? Tisha, I got that right. Tisha Richmond, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Come sit next closer to me. And looking at, wait a minute. I'm looking at the book title.
Yeah.
I think most people are making learning. That's a good thing.
Right.
That's a good thing. It's a good
It's
shift.
not enough though, yeah.
We went from teaching to learning. That was good. But you took it from teaching to learning to make learning magical.
Yes.
Okay, you got to talk to me about this. What was the beginning of this book for you?
Yes, absolutely. So back in 2014, I was a teacher that was burnt out.
Okay, by the way, I think there's a lot of people can relate to you. So please speak gently to all those people who need to hear your voice right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I was at a point where a lot of educators are right now, where they were, I was stressed, I was burnt out,
Yeah.
I was frustrated, I was thinking about what else I could do. And that year just happened to be a year that iPads came into my classroom. I started going to amazing conferences like this one and
Like Q.
learning, like Q.
Yeah.
And really realizing that there was so much more out there in education that I hadn't tapped into. There were so many ways that we could bring innovative ideas and strategies into teaching and learning. And so I really started to just jump out of my comfort zone and try stuff.
Wow.
And really get connected with so many educators that were doing amazing things all, across the country and the world. And so as I started trying stuff, I started seeing that the learning environment was shifting. Students were not only engaged, but they were becoming empowered learners. They were owning their learning.
Oh, God, it sounds great.
And
Sounds magical.
it became magical. Yes, my teaching was transforming. I was finding more joy in teaching, and then in return, my students were finding joy in learning, and I was able to create some unforgettable experiences for them. And so it just has become this magical adventure of trying new stuff, taking risks in my teaching, inviting my students to come alongside me in my learning, in the learning journey.
Wow.
And it was an amazing experience to see that shift in my classroom. And so that's what prompted the book, was to really share how I went from a teacher that was burnt out, frustrated, to a teacher that is more passionate about teaching and learning than I ever have been.
Wow, I think there should be a round of applause just for that, right? I mean, honestly. That's such a powerful statement. There's so much in what you've said, and we've got just a very short period of time left. Can you give us that magical moment for you? Mm-hmm. You were talking about you were almost done with this gig, and I'm out of gas. Mm-hmm. And then you opened yourself up, you took some risks. When did you see the energy start to come right back for you? When did you find that revival for you? Can you think of a moment where that started to happen?
Yeah, I think when I started, not everything that I tried in my classroom was working, but there were some things that I was doing differently in my classroom that really gave students some choice in what they were doing. Really, I started gamifying my classroom from start to finish, and I really started seeing that my students were, again, not just engaged in the learning, but they were really immersed in the learning experience, and they were really becoming empowered and getting excited. They would run into my class excited about what we were doing that day, which hadn't happened before. And so that was really the shift where I realized, wow, this is fun. Like, I can't wait to try new stuff and bring it into my classroom.
So let's just be clear. This book is for probably 90% of the educators that are working today. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you so much.
It's an honor. Thank you.
I'll take that from you. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. All right, very good. And now, wow, make learning magical. That's fantastic. And now we're going to move on to Carrie Rogers Whitehead, and she is the author of Fearless Digital Parenting. I think I need some help with that myself. Let me give you this right here. You come sit right next to me here on this chair, if you don't mind. And let's give it up for Carrie.
Thank you.
Carrie, what do you know about parenting?
Well, if you are a parent, you know nothing.
Okay, there it is. It's out. We're outed. We've now just made it clear the truth of the whole entire situation.
I mean,
okay.
You do kind of figure it out as you go.
Well, I agree. Now you don't feel so threatened by you now. Okay, so in the spirit of humility, right, when did you decide to say, I really need to write this book?
Well, I mean, I'm supposed to be some kind of expert, and I tell that to every class I teach. I'm like, I'm still figuring this out.
Right.
But I've taught thousands of parents at this point in digital parenting classes, and what I found an emotion that kept coming up over and over again was fear. And that's why I called it fearless. And I get it. it's scary
It
out
is
there.
scary.
There's a lot going on, and technology changes so fast, and it was different than when you were a kid, and it's just like, what do I do?
Right.
So the book is made to empower parents, because if we have some more information and knowledge and strategies and
Yes.
practical strategies, that can hopefully get us over the fear.
Well, you know, it's funny. We just heard from Making Learning Magical that we wanted to empower students. And here you are. I think for a lot of students, learning is, they're fearful. And so when they own it and empower it, the fear tends to dissipate.
Yeah.
But you're talking about empowering parents.
Yeah.
And that has a direct impact on what happens in the classroom if the parents aren't equipped. So give us something from your book. Give us a little like Costco sample, if that's okay, a little sample of something from your book that addresses that issue.
Well, it's very research-based, and I survey parents, I survey students. We try to give them what are the kids saying. I did focus groups for it. And I remember when interviewing a bunch of teens for this, I said, what do you want your parents to know? And they're like,
wow,
I'm okay. And tech is kind of a normal part of my life.
Wow.
And you didn't have as much of this fear from
Angst,
kids
not
and
as much,
angst,
right.
and I wanted parents to hear that. I also included more up-to-date research on gaming, because I hear that from parents. The gaming, it's unfamiliar, it's scary.
Yeah, well, they go away and
Right?
binge Netflix and worried
They
about
get
their
nervous.
kids. They're gaming and
Well,
learning something.
When you look at the data, it's not as scary as it needs to be.
Wow. And so that's one of the things your book addresses.
Yes.
Is there another example I would look for? Is there any practical, one of the practical examples or suggestions that you give for parents? Is there something?
Yeah.
What is one example that you give?
Well, I mean, play with your kids, game with your kids, talk about it. Because sometimes we get nervous about, like, parents feel like they have to know everything. I'm like, you don't need to know every app. You don't need to know the names of everything. But the fact that you're trying and you're out there and you're engaged, that is being there. That's being a fearless digital parent.
Wow. Okay, so the idea here is not to say, okay, go over here and then until you annoy me and I take the thing away from you, which is the typical style. Imagine. Your approach is you need to be in it with your children. You need to be in it with your students. You can't be separated from
And
it.
recognize you have a little wisdom. Maybe you don't know everything, but you have things to offer. And you have your own digital literacy skills that you can offer.
Okay, we need to do an entire show on this. Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here. We really appreciate you. Thank you. Well, Lainey Rawl, I'm so happy you're here. It's so wonderful. Oh, come on, a little huggy. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see you. And I think, well, let's see, maybe I need to advance the slide so I see your book. I'll just do that, see if it's gonna go. There it is. Can I see that?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
This is called The Evolving Learner.
Evolving Learner.
Now, what's the opposite of an evolving learner? What's the absolute opposite of that? That would be stagnant learner?
Oh, I like that.
Not moving at all
I
learner?
mean, I don't like it. I don't want anyone to
Well,
get
no,
stagnant
not at
learner,
all.
but-
But so perhaps some people are feeling like their learners aren't moving along, right? And so they get a little frustrated, and they would like to see things move. And tell me what got you. You had a previous book to this, right?
So this is my first book. Next book is coming soon.
I'm excited
Hopefully I'll
about.
be back to
Okay,
talk
that's
about
what
that,
I'm
yeah.
excited about that book. So this is your first, and why did you call it Evolving Learner?
So actually, Corwin approached me about writing a book, and it was on professional learning, and I thought, what? I was so confused because I do professional learning, but I don't speak about professional learning, and so it was really interesting. And I thought, you know what, this is a great opportunity for me to really hone my craft. And so I asked Christy Andre and Lauren Steinman to join me on the journey.
Wow.
And we wrote the book not because we had all the answers, because we wanted answers. And
Right.
we really wanted to figure out how can we provide the best professional learning. And you know, I've for years talked about that I think we need to be learning from kids, from peers, and the world.
Wow.
And so that's the framework of the book.
So is this a shift? You think this is a shift, the mindset for the teacher with your book, like a potential shift?
I think a lot of times we are doing these things, but being intentional about, okay, how can I use things like formative assessment? How can I shift to more learner-driven practices so that I'm learning with kids
Wow.
and from kids?
You know, we heard a lot of that spirit here just prior to you coming out. I'm sure you were thrilled to hear that kind of
Yes,
thing.
I love it.
In your book, let's say, who would you say would benefit the most from reading your book?
I go back and read the book.
So
I
you.
wrote the book, and I think everyone has an opportunity to learn more. I think in our practice, we're constantly evolving, we're constantly getting better. And so there's a real mindset of continuous improvement.
Yes.
And so I think we should all have that mindset. And so maybe we can even get better at being more continuous in our
Now
improvement.
I'm sure you had a chance to implement a lot of the things that are written in this book in real life, in real districts. Now, I don't want to get specific about any district or name anybody out or call anything out, but what I'd like you to do is call something good out. Like when you were in a district and you were doing some of the things that are in your book, and you applied these things with a learning community, and you said, wow, this is amazing. I'm so happy this is happening. Can you give me one of those moments?
I mean, there's been a lot, because this is,
I know there's a lot.
Yeah, and it's just so fun to go in and see the shift from, I think as teachers, we burden ourselves with having to take everything on.
Well, that's
and
the truth.
So
That
I
is
think
totally the
we're all
truth.
very
Yeah.
overwhelmed all the time.
Well,
and
we
so-
heard that just from Making Learning Magical moments
Absolutely,
ago. Right.
absolutely. Tish. But so I think that what I've seen is kind of a sigh of relief from teachers who are like, oh, I can shift to more inquiry-based, where it's the kids are taking some of the initiative, it's more learner-driven, and that gives me an opportunity to be learning alongside them.
Wow, and that shift is such an important one. And when students are learning with the teacher, as opposed to the teacher feeling they got to do it all.
Yes.
And that do it all thing is burning people out left and right.
Yeah.
Right? Let's give another example from maybe a sample of one of the pieces of your book that you could share.
So the section on kids, again, about
Thank you. That's what I
formative
was-
assessment
right.
and how can we be more inquiry-driven in how we design our learning experiences. And then learning with peers is the second section of the book, talking about coaching and PLCs and things like that. And then the third section, learning from the world, where we get more into social media and how can we get beyond not just the four walls of our classroom, but beyond our even school building and
Wow.
our district office.
And that's so important right now, because so many of our perspectives are coming just from a narrow thinking, right? Narrow from maybe just my own classroom, my own thinking, my own team, maybe even my own school or district think. And you're encouraging people to move beyond just
Absolutely.
what they've seen in their own district.
Absolutely.
To get
And-
outside of that.
Yeah, and I think it was really interesting. Kyle, we're right there with you. Our book came out a week later. We were March 13th of 2020. Not an ideal launch date, but
No,
it was,
not
it
at all.
was definitely an opportunity for us to go, okay, well, now we're going to evolve a little faster than we would normally do this, but we're going to keep moving forward. And teachers just crushed it, just constantly bringing all they could to make the best learning experience in a very fluid and chaotic situation.
Well, a quick answer for my last question, and that is, can you see maybe districts saying, hey, we need to adopt your book as to help our teams move forward?
I hope they do, because we really, again, and I can speak for my co-authors, we literally go back into the book when we're doing professional learning, so I think
So
there's
this
a lot.
could be a good thing.
This could
Did you
be
hear
a
that,
good
districts?
thing.
Did you hear that, superintendents?
Yes.
All right, well, thank you so much, ladies. It's
Thank
great
you
to
so
see
much.
you. So absolutely. I wish we again. Yep, right there. And now thank you so much. And our next, very good, moving that along. Okay, and then we have, is it Valerie? Yes, it's so good to see you. I'm so glad. All right, son, let's hear it for her. Thank you, Valerie. Now, your book is navigating, what is that?
Navigating dual immersion.
You know what? There are so many of our districts that have dual immersion schools.
Yes.
And our district has, that my district does. It's difficult to navigate.
Extremely.
Could you give us a little therapy moment here? Because it is hard to navigate.
So I started as a dual immersion teacher in 2012 with the first French immersion program in the LA region. I had nothing. I mean, I had the guidance of my kinder team who had been doing dual immersion in our school, right?
Yes, yeah.
But that was the only guidance I had, and I was just like, oh my gosh.
So you felt kind of just out there.
I was an experienced teacher. I had been teaching for 6 years already and was like thrown into this adventure. Was like, whoa, adventure time! And then was like, whoa, adventure time! It's a different kind of adventure, but
Yeah.
a fun one. Yeah.
All right, so here you are. You jumped into this situation. What was the first thing that you quickly needed to learn as you went into this?
The invisibility of making culture palatable, because if I were to teach in the French way, it would not be palatable to our American students.
Oh, okay.
If I were to teach my Chinese grown-up way in a Chinese immersion program, the parents would be like pitchforks at my door.
Wow.
So the invisibility of like, how do I adapt this culture, teach the language, but also let the culture slide in, because you can't teach language without culture, right? That would be nuts.
Wow. So it sounds to me like you're being very mindful of the students that you're teaching. You're starting with the students and not with the standards or with the requirements.
No, not at all.
And that's been a big deal. Can you give one example of how you help create that culture in a classroom, besides finding out a little bit about them? But what are some of the things you do?
Well, there was my class, like a typical dual immersion class has 50% of the students who are learning the language, the instructional language, and then the other 50% are native speakers or heritage speakers. So then here we have this cultural balance already, or imbalance, right? And then here's also a chance for especially our Spanish dual immersion teachers to raise our Spanish heritage speakers to be like, hey, y'all have something important to share. Like, you get to be the language models now.
I love that.
And here we talk about equity, here we talk about, you know, raising up the fact that maybe it's cool to be a bilingual person. Maybe it's cool that we grew up not speaking English as our first language, right? And to really just, it's a chance to lift up our students.
That's beautiful. So you basically now, the students and the culture in the class becomes we're going to do this together.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
That enthusiastic yes makes me very happy.
Yeah.
That's very, very good. Now, can you give us like a little bit of a taste of the wisdom that's in your book? You already gave us the idea of the culture. Is there something else that you would like people that are currently teaching in a dual immersion school, that if you could talk to them right now, what would you want them to know besides that culture piece and doing things with the students? What else would you add to that?
Grammar is important.
No, wait a minute.
Slow
down, lady.
But.
What did you just say? Grammar is important? Okay.
I said grammar is important,
right, yeah.
and I'm a world language teacher to start off with as well, where I'm like, conjugation.
Congregation.
You know, subjunctive.
Yes.
It's important.
It is.
But that's not what drives our students to learn a language. I can speak brokenly, but speak culturally correctly with the people of French culture, Spanish culture, whichever culture of the instruction, and be accepted.
Wow.
But if I go in, I'm like, I could conjugate subjunctive verbs, you know, I could like use the passé composé, but then I am kind of a prick about it, and I'm not culturally correct.
You know, you heard it here first. Please don't be a prick about it. I think that's really good advice. I agree.
Right?
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like, just you gotta bring the culture into the classroom, you know, and that's just so important. Like, we learn languages for the food, for the culture, because of the folklorico dances, because of like all the reasons to be able to communicate with other people.
The beautiful reasons.
Yes, the beautiful reasons.
As opposed to conjugating verbs or something, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm out of time. What is going on here? It's so wonderful to meet you. Thank you for sharing. Let's give it up for her. Beautiful. Valerie, thank you so much. I just not enough time, honestly. Okay, let's see. Am I moving this along, or there we go? Oh, wow. Is it time to power up? Let's power up. All right, so is Kate with it? Kate is here. Is it Tonali? How do I say it? Tonai, I'm so sorry. It's good to see you. Well, hello. Welcome and hello. So glad you're here. All right, have a seat. All right, welcome here. All right, so we got a few minutes here. Tell us about Power Up.
Wow. Power Up, where do we begin? Passion Project.
Oh, I love passion.
Lindsay and I have known each other for many years. This is Lindsay.
Hi, Lindsay. Welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Glad you're here. Are you a co-author, obviously? Yes.
Co-author, yep. And one of the things that really bonded us at the very beginning of our relationship, made us fall in love with each other, was our love for play and professional development with play-based instruction infused with it. Because I think both
what did you say there? Say that last part again.
Professional development with play-based instruction.
Play-based instruction. I want to make sure I didn't want to lose that. Got it. Okay.
Infused. So Lindsay and I took our just joy for play and brought it to our jobs. I'll let you tell your little bit about Play PD.
We're going straight to Play PD.
I think you need to.
I love that.
I love the sound of Play PD because most people hear PD, they think they need like some medication to go with that.
Yeah.
So please tell us about your approach.
You know, it's really the concept that we were seeing this sort of learning be so powerful in our classrooms, right? I was still in the classroom. I was implementing a lot of game-based and gamified strategies in the instruction, but we were also teaching teachers, right? And why was PD for teachers so bleh and boring? And our concept was...
Or worse.
I mean, or worse.
Right, yes.
So our concept was, what if we made it fun? And what if teachers could actually play? And we modeled that sort of learning with teachers so that they could then bring it back to their classrooms.
Wow.
They could have fun. So we would set up wherever. We would set up at a park, at a bar, at a conference, anywhere, and call Play PD. And we come together to play around any concept that we all wanted to learn more about.
So as you started to try this out, you had a theory, you had an idea, you started to try it out, you obviously started seeing success, right? Can you give me an example of some of the first memories you had of, look at it, it's working. Can you give me an example?
I got one too.
Okay, go. No, you got it.
I'll go since I have the mic. One of our Play PDs, this one was set up at a bar. We set up a breakout EDU for educators. We had clues and hints set up all around the bar. And I see Tisha nodding because she has gamified and experienced the game-based learning aspects. And it really is like the next day we had people emailing and messaging us with, here's how I think this connects to my classroom content and here's what I'm going to do with my kids. And people actually had their students designing breakout EDUs with them.
The students started designing?
Students as designers, agency, right?
I guess that is the official word for it. I just call it awesome. But yes, that's right.
Awesome agency.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Well, two things popped up right there. Oh, wait. Oh, thank you.
Oh, I get my own.
All right.
Now I can talk over Kate.
We got 6 seconds left.
Dangerous power.
No, Joe said we have more time because
we're we're good?
We're going.
You're telling me to stretch it?
I'll let
That's
him know.
funny.
Joe, I'll let him know.
Not a problem at all.
He knew we might bicker
I
a
have
little
no problem
bit and that you
Please
might
go
need
right
a little
ahead.
extra time.
Let's keep moving.
So, Lindsay and I know what we know and we know what we don't know, right? And so we're totally driven by our passion and our experiences and our ideas. And we also have an amazing network of educators that do the same and other stuff really, really well too. So one of the themes throughout our book is how can we shine light on the game masters in our community? Lindsay and I have this platform. We provide a framework for game-based learning. We provide a theory of improvement. We give strategies and tools that can be picked up and implemented in classrooms. But the best way to learn is to listen and pay attention to the successes around you and see where your passion lies. So there's, I want to say 11 game masters in here that are people that that are doing some of this amazing work, including the Breakout EDU team, Greg Eilers at a Stanislaus County Office of Ed, who does work with his team with digital badging, Ryan O'Donnell, who does his craziness with games, Christina Bustamante, Jacob Oringo.
Yeah, I'll give special shout outs to my SFUSD
I'll let you
peeps.
do that one.
We have computer science highlighted from SFUSD.
I'm
double
checking. Jacob Oringo, amazing educator who has created a game-based platform for his entire class, but starts very simple with just what makes games fun, and if you were to physically design a game, what would that be? And then translates it into the curriculum and moves kids from physical to digital. I mean, it's all there. And what's cool too is the game masters all share their resources too, so it's something tangible that you can take and implement.
And one more is Diane Mayne. I knew I was forgetting somebody because Diane Mayne shared her passion around Minecraft EDU.
Oh, wow.
So talking about not only like games like in the traditional sense of like board games, but then how do we then unlock those digital components as well?
As I gotta say, it's so inspiring to hear this, and it's so inspiring to hear how people, like Lainey was talking about earlier, that we need to do this together as opposed to in silos, and get towards synergy instead, right? But I just want to say before we say goodbye to you guys,
Wait, you're saying goodbye to us?
I am.
All right.
Because I'm out of time. Joe's letting me know, hit the road, Jack. But what I want to say is I heard somebody say this a couple days ago, and he meant it in the nicest way as a teacher, and he said, my kids know I don't play, which is an interesting...
Did you give him a hug? I feel like that person needs a hug.
I bought him a drink, and I bought him a drink, but he said, I don't play. And that is an expression that people say is like, I'm very serious.
We don't have time for that.
We don't play. And I just thought to myself, You know, I think of my favorite people, enjoyable people who play music.
Yeah.
And one of the things is they say, I came to play. And I'm just wondering if we could have more students come to school, I came to play. I think what a wonderful thing, and I think you guys are helping to change the tide.
And a huge
all of
shout
that.
out to Tisha, who's doing the big lift in this space as well. Like,
Beautiful.
I went to her session, so
Let's give it up for these guys. Wonderful. Thank you so much. You came to play. See you later. All right, very good. Okay. All right, very good. And now finally we have Kimberly. How do you pronounce it? Vogie. I was going to say Bogey, but that's not right. Vogie. Yes, so happy to have you here. Thank you for being with us today. You know, I want to hear more about the Edgy Protocols revolution. I think John's at fault for this, if I'm not mistaken.
It might be.
Yes.
So yeah, we're like taking this from being the crazy people doing this one-off in our classroom to bringing Edgy Protocols to the masses.
Well, that's amazing.
So it's I've written book 4. It just came out yesterday on Amazon. It is now #1 in 3 areas on Amazon, with no marketing. Thank you very much. It's just taken off like wildfire.
It sounds to me like people are very hungry for this type of thing. Why do you think they're so hungry? Why do you think it went so quick? That people are just jumping on so fast?
So book 1 and book 2 lay the foundation for amazing protocols that you can use in your classroom across all grade levels, across all subject areas, and they help you teach better and work less.
Wow.
And students achieve more.
Wow.
So what could be better? And I think right now we're in this whole idea of self-care, and Edgy Protocols are absolutely self-care for teachers.
Wow, okay.
And so and then we had Lisa Nowakowski's book, so we had the math, woohoo.
Yep.
And now my book brings it kind of all together and helps leaders at the district level, site level, and in your own classroom level,
so that's the target,
bring it together.
The target group. The target group for this is the idea of helping district and school site leaders, teachers become better equipped. Is that the idea?
Yes, so they know how to deploy and get your staff going. So you're not going to move instruction if you are reading your agenda for your staff meeting to your staff. You might move.
You go there.
Oh, I went there.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let's go. So let's go there a little bit.
So,
give me an example. Give me a non-example and then an example.
Okay, I'll give you an example that just happened for me. So
Okay.
I recently became the online learning coordinator in a district. So now I have an admin role, and I had to go ahead and give the training for the state testing, which was like a 50-slide slideshow.
Yeah, that's a joy.
Why? I would like these people to like me. I just started there in November. I would like them to like me.
Okay.
I made a Fast and Curious, which is a quiz. I used quizzes and came up with 15 questions that got to the heart of the matter of the rules for the SBAC that the teachers needed to follow. And I gave the participants, my teachers, the quiz, and they got like 66% with no other information.
Okay,
then,
so no help at all.
No
Just
help
here,
at all.
Here you go.
What do you know already?
Formative
assessment.
Yep.
And then I went through and I gave them the mini lesson of the information they needed, and they scored 99% at the end.
Wow.
So I'm pretty sure in that 15 minutes that maybe that took, that was a whole lot better than me reading 50 slides to them.
Wow.
So yes, I went there because we do a lot of things in education because that's the way it's always been done.
That's for sure.
But if it was going to work, it would have.
That's also for sure.
So let's try something different.
That sounds delightful.
Right. Nothing brings you greater joy than having a student ask for a certain type of lesson.
Oh my goodness.
And they
yes.
ask.
They ask. Give me an example of that. That's huge.
So we have random emoji power paragraph.
Okay.
Where I'm asking students to write.
Okay.
They don't like to do that. In general,
yes.
Writing is a task. Yeah. And so I pull up the random emoji generator and say here's fried chicken. Write a sentence. They're like, about what? I'm like, about what you see, however you interpret that. Okay. So I'm not giving them a lot of rules, I'm giving them a lot of choices. And they can write what they want to, and then they have to connect ideas. And so we get all the 4 C's going in there. We've got creativity, we've got critical thinking, communication, and collaboration.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna edit those. So rather than get out a worksheet and underline the nouns once and the verbs twice, I mean, does that make me a better as an adult, other than the fact that I'm a teacher, have I ever had to identify a noun or a verb? No.
Yeah.
But do I need to be able to write in the real world and
sure.
communicate? Absolutely. So let's do that in a much more fun way.
And you saw your students, and you saw the people that you've used this with, obviously, get excited about this.
Absolutely.
So you see students getting excited, teachers getting excited. Did it cut down on the time? One of the biggest issues that I hear over and over again is I don't have time. I don't have enough time. Do these approaches save time?
So they save time in a number of ways. So if you think about when you had to write subplans, if you're out for a 6-hour day, it's like you got to invest 6 hours.
You really work that day.
So if your kids know the edu protocols, they will actually request them for you when you sub.
Wow.
So if they know you're going to be out there, like, Mrs. Vogie, can we have an Iron Chef and a cyber sandwich while you're gone? I'm like, yeah, you can, because I can just insert the content I was going to teach.
So it makes it so much easier.
So it saves me time on planning for a sub. It saves me time in planning. But the real magic is the time I get back with the kids in using that time for higher level thinking skills and more creative things. So when the lower level tasks take less time and I'm building more efficient learners, we can go down that rigorous road.
Wow, it seems to me that it also opens up, because of the freeing up of time, you have the opportunity to really get to know your students on a deeper level. Do you think that's true?
Oh, absolutely. You don't need another program for socio-emotional learning. Because we just like to put Band-Aids on things. Yes, I went there. We just get another program, it's a patch. So we don't need that because there's inherent, it's in there.
Yes.
I've aligned all the edu protocols to UDL, SEL, Anchor Standards, Marzano, Hattie. It's all there. Let's just do it.
Wow.
Let's make it happen for our kids.
That's awesome. And what do you hope will be the outcome of your book being out there?
I just hope that it ends up making life better for students in the long run, which if it goes the way it should, it's going to make things better for teachers and the administrators and most of all the students, because that's what we need to make things work for them. They've had a couple of rough years. We've all had some rough years.
Yes.
This is going to help. I think this will help revolutionize education.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
taking the time to actually, how long did it take you to write?
Probably about a year.
See,
During a pandemic.
During a pandemic. Well, thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. Let's give it up for Kim. It's just fantastic. Thank you so much. Well, yeah, I'll take that from you. All right. So how are we doing on time, Joe? Are we good? All right. I didn't think neither of us thought that would happen. How are you? Is this our time for our commercial? Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to all the authors that were here. I hope, if you're watching this, I hope you heard a consistent message through every single author you heard up here. These are leaders that took of their time and their hearts to write these books to improve education and improve themselves. And one consistent theme that was clear to me the whole time is how deep the love goes for the students and their fellow teachers and fellow educators. And with that as a basis, every one of you should buy every one of the books you heard today. And if you don't think I'm wrong, I want to encourage you to come tune into a new show. Hey, Joe, can I ask you to come up here real quick? I want to introduce you to Joe, who did all this great graphic work behind the scenes. Joe, we're going to be doing this show called Meet the Authors as a focus on each author. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. And it's going to be longer than 3.5 minutes.
Thank God.
So basically, it's Glenn unfiltered, right? Because there's no wrap up there. You talk as long as you want. So it's just going to be a great conversational show to honor the authors that are doing amazing work and to be able to share it with the Q community and all the educators out there.
Well, yeah, and I think we're going to start this, next month.
We're going to start it as soon as you're ready to start it.
Well, I'd like to start. Lainey, when can we start? We're going to start next month, and guess who we're going to start with?
Is it going to be Lainey?
That's right. All right. We'll start with her because she's probably the most forgiving of everybody. So, she can help us out. But I got to tell you, Meet the Authors, it's going to be our own deal. It's coming up starting in April. We'll get that notice out to you. And for the rest of you, you heard from Kyle earlier today. Kyle, who was our first author who came up, he wrote his book not with necessarily having the whole world change or that kind of thing. He did it for himself. I'm just wondering how many of you out there, we need to have your book too. You need to write your book. And if you want some people to encourage you and to cheer you on and to say, yes, we do need to hear from you, it's the people you heard from today. They'll be the first to tell you we need to hear from you too. So thank you for Meet the Authors 2022, and get ready for us being online. Thank you for joining. Let's hear it for you. Yay. Beautiful. Thank you all so much.
And if you'd like to chat with the authors, they are right over there. And then if you want to keep chatting with them, we have tables out in the vendor hall. You can pass off stickers, learn where to buy their books and wares and everything that you'd like.
That's right.